This is page 277 of the triphasic training book. You're looking at a 4-day block model high force, high velocity program, which is essentially between the percentages of 80 and 55. Now this used to be my old peaking model until I found the new peaking method model, which is essentially talked about in section 6, which you'll get to. This model works great, but we found we have ultimately got a higher level of correspondence with the peaking methods talked about in section 6 of the book. With that in mind, many people ask, well, how'd you come across peaking below 80%? Well, a lot of programming models are that you peak below 80% or above 80%, or at your highest levels, maybe 95%, which works for weightlifters and maybe power lifters and so forth. But ultimately for sports, keep in mind that the speed of the movement is extremely fast in all sports, a majority of sports. And so then the question is, why would you cause your nervous system to strain all the time at 95% to teach the nervous system to do something other than what it's supposed to do in sport? It actually can cause the nervous system to become less reactive, and that reactiveness is something that is very important as far as injury prevention and all sorts of different functions of the human body. Okay, when I say function, I mean that the muscle in its current state is functioning at its highest level and is very reactive. A lot of people think functional, well, I do functional training, which many people have talks about just doing odd lifts or lifting different things, maybe strongman or a Turkish get-up, but that is not functional from a reactiveness standpoint in sports. If you look at a Turkish get-up, it's very slow. It may help some people that have some neurological dysfunction in regards to balance, but beyond that, it could be a good general fitness, but is not a peaking method to use for athletes in sports. And again, I'm referring to the Turkish get-up. Now, along with the 4-day particular program, keep in mind, again, I use this in my old method, but the new method in section 6 you'll find very intriguing. I get a lot of responses based upon that. The 4-day is just an example of how I put the triphasic basically in the plan. If a coach wanted their athletes to lift on this 4-day protocol, this could be used for an out of season or in season based upon the amount of volume that the particular coach has in their practice. So the triphasic can be switched up, the triphasic methods, and the block loading method and the undulated loading method, everything that we talk about in the book, has to be matched up with the current sport coach that you're dealing with. Now, the hard part at the university is I get a system into play, we have a great coach, and then a new coach comes in with new practice methods, and I have to match up to some capacity along those guidelines. Sometimes you'll see in my programs where the rest is often planned out, and that's usually with a coach that has been around a while. Then the other days is where the rest may mimic the basic general concentration of stress they're applying in practice. So for example, if a coach is working a lot of work capacity, glycolysis or lactate work in the work capacity phase, then I may mimic that or do a high quality lactate work, which would be more rest during the course of the session. But however, if you wouldn't want to do an oxidative day in the weight room on that, and all you're doing to change that is adjusting essentially your rest and your intensity. And you can do the same workout. You can actually have the same workout and work different energy systems just by manipulating the rest and the intensity. Keep in mind too, the 4-day, what you'll find is essentially a high-low method. And again, athletes often get their work capacity day in the undulated model in practice. But with this high-low method and this 4-day body split, that's why I really like the 6-day split, where it's upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, or lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, upper during the course of 6 days. The 4-day would be a lower, upper, lower, upper. And what happens is in regards to, I believe I was talking to Mal Sif, he mentioned that there was a Soviet and scientists that mentioned that by doing a upper effect, training upper body one day and then lower body the next, you actually get a restoration concept. Essentially, with all restoration methods, if you look at them, they either do two things: they manipulate hormones, or they actually increase blood flow. So by doing a 4-day split or a 6-day split, you're switching back from upper to lower. What you'll find is when you work the upper body, there's an increase in blood flow to the lower body, keep in mind, without placing stress on the lower body, which then helps aid recovery. Okay? Again, this is the 4th block of a cycle. The 5th block, we have programs of that, which we've often kicked into 3 or 2-day programs. We have done some 6-day, which would need to be, it's beyond the realm of this book, which would need to be addressed probably in another one. Now, please keep in mind that peaking method that I came up with was essentially put together by using a number of different techniques and method. And then, Dr. Yesus, I spent many hours on the phone with him, chatting with him about different methods, and he mentioned the fact, and he always has in his writings, this is nothing new. He mentioned it 30 years ago, that by spending too much time with heavy loads, you're straining the nervous system, okay, and that you're teaching the nervous system to be slower. So please, I'd like to thank Dr. Yesus for enlightening me on that, and then look at section 6, because what you'll find is that method, okay, of peaking is one that is highly correlated to what the athlete performs in sports.